Dear audience, in this life, we sometimes forget that there are still beautiful things present beside us, even when we are busy chasing goals or dealing with endless worries. One day, when everything seems to fall apart, it is these beautiful things that become our greatest source of motivation, the light that guides us to keep moving forward. That day, Diep made a decision that few would dare to make. She ran away from Officer Lee's house, the one she always considered her protector and guardian. But for Diep, the situation had changed. She could no longer sit idly by and wait without acting. James, the person she loved, was somewhere in this world, and she knew that if she didn't go looking for him, she might never have another chance. A restless feeling she could not describe, a mix of longing and worry, made her heart unable to be at peace. In the silent night, when everything around seemed to be forgotten in an eerie quiet, Diep had exhausted herself. She no longer had the strength to continue her journey, and eventually her body reacted by collapsing in the middle of the road. The lonely, cold roads made her feel lost in the vast world, but fortunately, humanity always appears even in the most desperate moments. A kind woman happened to pass by and found Diep lying unconscious on the road. Without hesitation, she immediately brought food to Diep, took care of her, and asked about her condition. This woman was truly kind, concerned for a stranger, and offered to take Diep home to care for her for a while so that she could regain her strength. However, at that moment, Diep's mind was occupied with only one thought: James. She couldn't afford to waste any more time. She knew she couldn't delay any further. "Thank you so much, but I have to keep going. I have to find James," Diep said, though her eyes were full of exhaustion, the light of determination still burning brightly. She thanked the kind woman and promised herself that she would continue her journey. She could not give up. She could not hesitate. The long days of not finding James had made her realize that only love could help a person overcome every difficulty, every challenge, and never give up. Diep continued her journey, covering each kilometer, the pain and fatigue deeply etched in her body. But she did not stop. Another 150 kilometers ahead, a journey full of hardship but also full of hope. With every step, she felt deeply that even though James might not be close to her at that moment, her heart was still connected to his, stronger than ever. She believed that their love would find its way back, no matter how far apart they were. The question still echoed in her mind: would Diep be able to meet James? Could she find him amidst the chaos of life, surrounded by the dangers she faced? And, most importantly, would James continue his search for her after so many days of disappearance, or had he given up and stopped looking? These questions were not only Diep's worries, but also the questions we, as viewers of her journey, could not take our eyes off. And so, the dramatic and emotional twists and turns of this story are yet to unfold. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of the exciting and emotional moments ahead, because Diep and James's story is far from over. Surprises, breathtaking moments, and moments full of hope are waiting just ahead, inviting us to explore. Let's continue to follow this challenging journey to see how fate will smile on Diep and James. On James's side, everything was gradually heading into a deadlock. The search, which had lasted for days, still yielded no results. Not a single trace, not even the smallest bit of information about Diep. All of his efforts, along with the police teams and search dogs, seemed to be in vain. Everyone had put in their best efforts to search, but the more they looked, the further apart James and Diep seemed to drift. Each day that passed became a challenge for James. He felt as though everything was working against him. The sky seemed to be collapsing and darkness enveloped his soul. Anxiety and unease clung to him, not allowing him a single moment of peace. Every time he saw familiar images of Diep, his heart felt as though it was being torn apart, with longing and worry intertwining, creating a storm inside him. He couldn't stop thinking about her, couldn't stop hoping for a miracle. But during those dark days, the only person by James's side was his mother. She was the only one left to be there for him, constantly offering encouragement, comfort, and being a steadfast support. "Don't worry, I believe you will find Diep," his mother would often say. Those simple words were a great source of encouragement, giving James the strength to keep going and not give up amidst the hardships. His mother believed that the love between James and Diep would bring them back together, as long as they remained persistent and never gave up. One day, while James was sitting in the quiet room, the cold space reflecting his feelings of loneliness, suddenly his phone rang. James reached for it, and when he saw the police department's number on the screen, his heart skipped a beat. A whirlwind of emotions rushed through him. He was both excited and nervous. Was this the sign he'd been waiting for all this time? Had the police found Diep? Without thinking any further, James quickly answered the call. The voice of the police officer on the other end said, "Mr. James, we need you to come to the station to discuss the situation regarding the search for Diep." His emotions at that moment were truly indescribable. A mixture of hope and fear overwhelmed him. He didn't know whether this was good news or just another turning point, another challenge in this difficult journey. Without hesitation, James informed his mother, and the two of them immediately got into the car. The journey from their home to the police station seemed short, but to James it felt like an eternity. Each kilometer felt like it was stretching further, each minute like an entire century. The closer they got to the police station, the heavier his heart became. He couldn't stop thinking about Diep, wondering what might be happening to her. Was she safe? Was she out there waiting for him to find her? James's mother sat beside him, constantly offering gentle words of encouragement. "Don't worry. I believe Diep is still alive. You must believe that." Her words were like a warm flame in the cold winter night, giving him strength and helping him stay grounded in this anxious moment. Yet, deep down, James still couldn't feel at ease. Every question about Diep gnawed at his mind, making it impossible for him to focus or think about anything else but her. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of tension, the car stopped in front of the police station. James got out quickly, rushing inside as if nothing else mattered anymore. He could only hope that this was the turning point, the sign that would allow him to continue the search for Diep, to meet the woman he loved once again. Their love was so powerful that, even if the world collapsed around him, James would never give up. He believed that one day, no matter how many challenges they had to overcome, he and Diep would find each other again. At the police station, all the signs would eventually become clear, and James would know whether he was about to reunite with Diep. But for now, one thing he was sure of was that their love would never fade, no matter the circumstances. When James and his mother arrived at the police station, the atmosphere in the meeting room felt heavier than ever. All eyes were on James, who carried the hope of finding Diep after so many days of worry. The police officers, who had been tirelessly searching, were all present at the meeting, discussing the next course of action. Each person had their own idea, and each plan brought with it risks and challenges that were hard to predict. In the end, one plan was put forward: to expand the search area. Once again, James faced the hardest decision of his life. Should he continue expanding the search, going further, accepting all the dangers to find the girl he loves, or should he stop, give up, and surrender to the uncertainty of hope? James's emotions were indescribable at that moment. He felt as if all his efforts up until now were on the verge of failure. Yet, in his heart, his love for Diep still burned brightly, unwavering. Did he have the courage to continue this journey, or would he accept giving up to avoid hurting himself further? Before he could make a decision, his mother's gaze, always there to encourage him, gave him strength. But was love strong enough to push James forward on this difficult path? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to follow the exciting developments ahead. Will James continue or stop?
Giữ hắn cùng toàn bộ tang vật. Tin tức ấy đến tai James như một làn gió thổi nhẹ qua tâm hồn đã chai sạn vì quá nhiều đêm dài mất ngủ. Anh đứng bên cửa sổ, ánh nắng chiều xuyên qua lớp rèm mỏng, lặng lẽ gọi điện cho mẹ. Giọng anh nhẹ đi, pha chút thở phào. Mẹ à, Jun bị bắt rồi. Mọi chuyện rồi sẽ ổn thôi. Mẹ đừng lo nữa. Ở đầu dây bên kia, mẹ anh nghẹn ngào chỉ kịp thì thầm hai chữ tạ ơn trời. Nhưng khi cuộc gọi kết thúc, James trở về với nỗi trống rỗng trong lòng, trong tim. Phải, Jun đã bị bắt, nhưng từ Diệp thì sao? Cô vẫn bạch vô âm tín. Cô, người con gái mà anh xem là cả thế giới, vẫn chưa quay về. James ngồi xuống, hai bàn tay đan xen vào nhau, ánh mắt mông lung. Bắt được John là một bước tiến, nhưng chưa phải là kết thúc. Anh biết rõ đâu đó trong